Hello. It's been a bit. A few things before I start. One, I decided not to use my shitty Apple microphone for these videos because it's just annoying having to constantly hold it. There's gonna be background noise because I obviously don't live alone, and these walls are paper thin, so I can't really do anything about that. I've had to record this video so many fucking times, you have no idea. Because a few days ago, I recorded some, and when I finally was ready to start editing it and I was happy with my product, I rewatched it yesterday and I was like, I'm not happy with this anymore. So I tried redoing it yesterday and I just gave up. And there was also storage problems, so I had to situate that. So hopefully this is the last time I have to do this. But yeah, hi. Oh my god, like, it feels like it's been so long, even though it's been like a month, a little over a month. I know in my last video I said I wanted to stick to this and I was giving myself like a hobby to do, and then I disappeared. Typical me. I knew that would happen because there are just those moments where I say I'm gonna do something and I really do want to do it, but then I lose the motivation and end up not doing it. But I'm here now, so that's what matters. So my friends can stop being like, when are you uploading again? But also, as you might have saw in the title, I have a podcast name and I made it up myself. First of all, I didn't even want to do like blah 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 with Skyler. I feel like that's so overused and I just didn't want to do it, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. If I can't beat them, I join them. So it's not that special, but I feel like it really fits me, and yeah. Also, can we take a second to appreciate my beautiful, beautiful cup and my beautiful, beautiful matcha and my beautiful, beautiful DIY coaster, strawberry coaster that I made. I'm sorry, I had to show that. As you probably also saw in the title, I did have a topic to talk about today, and it's breakups. Fun. Aside from not really having motivation to make videos, I also just generally couldn't think of what to talk about, and that's also because life happened and school started and I was just worrying about so many other things. But I did recently go through a breakup and I was like, this could be something to talk about. And I'm not a professional because it was my first relationship, therefore my first breakup. So obviously I'm still experiencing it and processing it. But I just want to share kind of what I've been going through and what I've been doing to cope and what I've learned so far from the breakup, but also other people. And it brought me here, so I feel like throughout the relationship, I've been pretty private with it in social media, at least, because really all I ever posted about us was like TikTok slideshow trends or sometimes pictures of what we would do on my Instagram story. But overall, it was mostly private to social media. And I'm gonna keep it that way. Just because we're not together anymore doesn't mean I don't still respect him and respect myself and respect how the relationship went. And I'm not gonna air out every little detail of why we broke up. And at the end of the day, I still obviously love and care about this person. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is basic struggles that everyone goes through in a breakup. And actually, everything I'm going to talk about are struggles in breakups, but they're going to have their own separate section. Right now, I just have a little group of specific ones I wanted to cover first. So my breakup was literally just a week ago, and so obviously it's still fresh and it's hurting like hell, and it's gonna keep hurting for a while. But the reason I bring up that it's just been a week is because a week is still a lot, especially if this person has basically become part of your everyday life. You would text them every day, talk every day, see them almost every day. Like, having to shift to not having that anymore is a big change that's gonna take a while to get used to. And like, that means you're gonna have to shift back to before you even knew them. Because before you knew them, obviously you weren't talking to them every day. You didn't even know them. But like, since they've become that everyday factor in your life, it's hard to imagine them not being that anymore. Like, you kind of forgot about life before them. What I'm basically trying to say is it's just gonna be hard getting used to being without them again. Because I know people say like, oh, you once lived without them before, so you can do it again. But like, it's not that simple. And not only are you losing them, you're also losing the future you had planned. Whether it was, I don't know, getting married or even just moving in together. Like, whatever future you planned with them, or if it was just a general picture that was in your mind of how things would go with them, you're losing that too. And I feel like that's a reasonable thing to mourn over, because it's another loss. And I feel like we need to talk about that more, because at one point you were really confident that those things were going to happen and nothing was going to get in the way of you guys reaching those things. They weren't just your dreams. You shared those dreams with someone else, which what makes it so much harder to let that go, especially if they were the only person you saw in your future. Like, after the breakup, you start to realize like, that's gonna have to be someone else now, and that's scary because you can only picture it being them. You can't picture anyone else. I know it's a temporary feeling, and you'll eventually move on and be like, okay, well, obviously that wasn't my person, and I'm gonna have to do those things with someone else. But just remember, it's been a week for me, so this is why I'm still thinking like this. I'm sure I'll get there. And in all honesty, I do hope I get to fulfill those goals with this person. And as I said, I know like I'm still in the beginning, so I'm gonna feel like that. But it's just that little smidgen of hope that it works out in the future. And I'm gonna talk about that later, like hope and stuff. But yeah, there are a lot of reasons why it's hard to let go of all of that. But I feel like the biggest thing that makes it the hardest, which might be obvious, but I still want to talk about, is the attachment. And it's not just about like, oh, I love them so much, I'm so attached to them. It's the feeling like you need them. Over the course of the relationship, you've grown to need them. You've realized like the longer it went on, the more and more you felt like you need this person, you never want to be without them. And as I said, the thought of them not being around anymore is like impossible. You need them on your good days, you need them especially on your bad days. You just need them around. And if you don't have them, you feel like you have nothing else. To me, that's what attachment feels like. That's basically what it is. But I feel like other people have their definitions of attachment. For me, though, that's how it felt like. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the difference between ending on good terms and ending on bad terms. And I'm still not revealing much about my relationship, but I think I can say we did end on good terms. And the thing about ending on good terms is people think it's worse than ending on bad terms, because if you end on good terms, you start questioning things like, oh my god, how could have this, what? Questioning things like, oh my gosh, like, how could we have avoided this? Like, now it's gonna be like, I can't move on ever. But yeah, people just have a hard time ending on good terms, and I feel like they think like ending on bad terms means like, oh, you know what, they cheated, their loss, I can move on. And I feel like that depends on the person though. Like, some people can easily move on from people they knew were not worth it. Some people though, again with the attachment, they're just so attached that it's kind of hard for them to detach, no matter how it ended, no matter how dirty that person did them. They're still having a hard time getting over it. I'm honestly neutral on that whole thing, because as I said, I feel like it depends on how it ended, and it depends on how easily you can detach from someone. But I know with my experience and how it ended and how I get attached so easily but can't detach as easily, I know that I'm not the type to move on that fast. I wish I was, but this was my first breakup. But I want to say, like, even with friendship breakups, it's taking me like a year or more to move on from those friendships, because it's kind of the same. Like, at one point I thought these friends were like gonna be in my life forever, and like, oh, we're gonna move together and travel the world together, like we're gonna be best friends forever. And so a friendship breakup like that kind of hurts the same. Another thing that makes it so hard though, no matter how quickly you're able to move on, is if you see this person on a daily basis, whether that's at school or at work, or just, I don't know, you live close to them and you keep bumping into them, like, and you can't really avoid it. And like, no matter how it ended, good terms or not, you're kind of forced to ignore them. Can we talk about that, by the way, and how fucked that is? Let me tell you how insane I go every time I have to pass by this person who knows basically everything about me, who's seen every part of me, even the deepest bad parts that I tried to hide. I'm supposed to walk past that and act like we're complete strangers all over again? Guys, that's just insane to me. Like, I just can't, I don't know, I can't fathom it. Cause like, I don't expect him to smile and wave, but like, it's just insane how we have to do that now that it's over. Like, I don't know. I mean, unless you're the type of person to stay friends with an ex and then you like wave and smile and say hi, like fine. But I'm just talking about like, if you're not like that and you have to ignore them no matter how many times you see them, like that's, ooh, it's like a stab to the heart every time, because you know things are over, you know you can't engage, but you still want them so bad. So it's hard to just ignore them. It's hard to just stare at the ground walking past them, because you want to so badly get a quick glance at them to see if they're looking at you too, or just smile at them to tell them like, hey, like I still care about you and I don't hate you, like. But yeah, it just seems a little unfair considering how bad you still want them. And speaking of that, actually, I wanted to talk about like how people are like, you want to be together, so make it happen. Like, you want them so bad, so do something about it. And I used to say that too. I used to think wanting each other so bad was enough and wanting to be together was enough. But I realized it's way more than that. Because you could want to be with someone so bad, and you could want it to work so bad, and you could try to make it work the best you can, but then it gets to a point where it's not enough to just want that. And it sucks, but that's just how it goes. And that doesn't just apply to relationships. Like, I want to be rich, but I can't have that. I can't have money, all the money in the world right now. I know that's completely different, but it's also kind of the same. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is you have to basically let this person go, and even though you still really love them and want to be with them, in certain situations there just comes a time where you have to be like, I need to choose myself right now. Oh God, all of it is so unfair. Like, I'm still going through those thoughts in my head where why does it have to be like this? Why does it have to be this unfair? Like, why? Just so many whys. But before I move on to the next topic, I just want to say this real quick. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for feeling upset or sad that you had to make the right decision. Like, it's gonna be sad, but if you felt like it was the right thing to do, then it was. And you're allowed to feel anything after that, basically. And maybe your ex won't understand that. Maybe they'll be like, well, why are you sad about it if you're the one that ended it? And I'm not saying that's what's happening with me and my ex. Like, no, like, but it's like, I felt like I had to, you know? It's all so frustrating, but you'll get through it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, which I feel like no one has talked about actually, but I felt like I should have because it did get brought up, is kind of how long relationships last, and how it doesn't really matter to how quickly you can connect with that person and grow an attachment. Whenever someone asks me how long my relationship lasted and I have to say, oh, 5 months, I feel such shame, and I don't know why. Like, I feel like that's not long enough to be this heartbroken about, but I am, and I know it's enough, but I feel like because so many people are like, oh, you'll be fine, at least it wasn't a year or over a year, it's like, it's still my experience, and it's like invalidating. Like, I'm still heartbroken, guys. I don't care if it's been 5 months. I don't care if it's been 2 months. I'm still so hurt by this. Like, what? People don't realize that depending on the person and how close you became with them, you can still make a genuine connection with someone. I know attachment is different than connection, and I'm not going to go into that, but it's also easy to form an attachment with someone too. Like, I already kind of talked about that. So that's another thing. Like, no matter how short or long the relationship was, the attachment and connection are still going to be there. My point is people need to stop being like, you'll be fine, it wasn't even that long, you didn't even really know them that long. Like, say me and my ex didn't last 5 months, say we lasted like 2 months, I would still be heartbroken, because by then I felt like we really understood each other, he really got me, we were forming a genuine connection. I would still be heartbroken, maybe not as much as I am now, but it's still a loss because I still had hope. The next thing I wanted to talk about is there's going to be ups and downs. That's obvious. Everyone talks about that when talking about a breakup, but I just wanted to talk about me and my experience with those things. Like, this is the time that I talk about me. For me, the ups and downs aren't just like one day I'm like, oh, I'm fine, life is great, like I'm gonna be okay, and the next day I'm like, wow, I'm miserable, I lost this person. No, I'm talking like multiple mood swings a day. Even like 1 second, I'm like, okay, I'm not crying. And then a minute later, I'm like, fuck, I lost this person. Like, what the fuck? Like, some moments, it just hits you harder than others that, wow, you're really not with this person anymore. Like, how the fuck am I gonna deal with that? For me, it hits the hardest the moment I wake up and at night, because I mean, it's nighttime, so like, that's the time you start thinking about things because everything is quiet and you have no more distractions. The reason it's also when I wake up is because I'm so used, this is sad, I might start crying. I'm so used to waking up to a good morning text. And so now when I wake up and I have almost no notifications, like sometimes occasional notifications from friends or like family, but most of the time, no, like good morning from the one person I heard it from. I'm the type of person to have very vivid dreams about someone. So after things ended, they've been getting kind of worse. And it's mostly been dreams where we're still together and everything's fine and we're still in love. Even during the relationship, it was like switched. Like when we were together, I would have dreams of us getting in fights and not being together anymore. So it's kind of ironic how now that we're not together, I'm having dreams that we're still together. Except this time, I don't have the reassurance of waking up to a good morning text and realizing, oh, we're still together. Like, no. I wake up with the hard reality that, oh, it's still over. Fuck, guys, fuck. Okay. Whew, okay, that was sad, but I didn't start bawling, so. But I did want to start talking about coping mechanisms that have been helping me so far with everything. The biggest one that I've been doing is journaling. And when I say journaling, I mean journaling. Like, yes, my notes app, but like, I haven't journaled this much before. Like, I've had journals lying around that I would occasionally write in, but like, especially now, I'm writing down every single thought I have. I'm writing down my feelings, my frustrations, how sad I am, how I miss him, how I want to say these things but I can't tell him. And it's helped so much. Like, I'm serious. If you're going through a breakup, go out and buy a journal. I have 2 journals. So I have my own personal journal where it's anything I want it to be, and I write about random thoughts and how my day was and what I'm achieving and just whatever you write in a journal. And sometimes I draw in it. And I have a separate journal to kind of unload all the feelings and frustrations about the breakup. And the reason I have a separate journal for that is it was originally a journal and binder for us. Like, I bought it for us so that we could write down what we did that day or keep whatever he gave me in it and just memories and everything. So it was really a binder for us, but we didn't even get to use it. So I still wanted to put it to use. So I was like, this is gonna be my own separate journal for us still, but after everything. So that's where I unload all the negative thoughts and my sadness and everything. But my personal journal, I try to keep more positive so I'm not miserable all the time, and I just write about things that make me happy. But yes, journaling has been such a big part of all of this. Another thing which everyone does, so I'm not like saying like go and do this, I know you do this, is music. And not just listening to music. Like, I play guitar, so I've been playing guitar a lot more. But I feel like music heals, I swear. Like, you can talk to anyone about music and they would say the same. I feel like everyone loves music. Who doesn't like music, guys? If you don't like music, you're not real. I'm sorry. And music can really get you through such hard times, especially something like a breakup. So and this one was also kind of obvious, but just surrounding yourself with the people you love and the people who love you, because even though you did lose someone who you loved and who loved you, it doesn't mean you lost all of that. You still have other people to have that with. So, you know, friends, family, and they also help a lot. Like, they want to help you, and I kind of had to learn that because I always felt like a burden. So I warned them. I was like, guys, you're gonna have to like get used to me being insufferable about this because I can't think of anything else. And they all reassured me, like, no, we get it. You have to let it out right now. And I'm like, guys, they care. You can feel like you're being so annoying, but I promise you they care and they want to help. Obviously, don't make that all you talk about. Like, engage in activities with them, like hang out with them, or if it's online friends, which I have and they have been helping me too, video call and just talk about stuff. And yeah, I know everyone also says this, but engaging in hobbies and even finding new hobbies can be great. And as I said, I've been playing more guitar. I said this before too, I think, but I don't have much hobbies. Like, usually I'm just fucking napping. But I don't know, I've been trying. I also have like many books that I have to read, and I actually started one. So I'm trying to get into that too. It's just hard, especially right now when it's still so fresh. You feel kind of unmotivated to do anything, and you feel like, I don't want to have a hobby, I just want to rot in bed all day, which I'm gonna get to later. But it does help. I know I keep saying that, but yeah. Last thing, I know I said I've been journaling, using my notes app, talking to friends, crying to my parents, but therapy. I'm like, get as much resources as you need to let that shit out. And I'm telling you, therapy has also been such a big help with not only the breakup, but also just life in general. Like, I love my therapist so much. And she's helped me realize and learn so many things. I started going to therapy earlier this year, kind of when I first started my relationship, but not because of him or because we were having any problems, but because I know that I cannot balance relationships and balance my life along with new things. So like, when I noticed there was a new thing to focus on, like a romantic relationship, I was like, okay, I might need to go into therapy to kind of work through this and learn to do this. And so I did. But since then, it's been such a big help with so many other things. So yes, I love therapy. Sometimes I complain to my friends like, oh, I have to go to therapy today. And then later on, after it's over with and I let whatever I was thinking about out, I'm like, oh, I love that. I feel so free now. Like, I feel lighter and like I can breathe. So yeah, I'm sorry, that was off topic. But anyway, so as I said, I wanted to talk about the bad parts, like outside of coping, like bed rotting and just not having motivation to do anything for yourself. And if you've had experience with depression before, experiencing a breakup is gonna kind of bring that back. Like, I feel like a breakup takes such a toll on your mental health, and it's gonna be so hard. And even though I've been doing all those things to cope and take care of myself, there's been more days where I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. I want to sleep all day. I'm gonna rot in bed feeling gross because I didn't wash myself, I didn't brush my teeth. Like, that's how bad it can get, especially with being depressed. You feel like you just can't move. You can't get out of bed because you're like, well, what's the point? I don't even want to do anything. And then you just feel worse after because you're like, why did I waste the day by rotting in bed? Why did I not go out and do this? Why did I not wash myself? Now I feel gross. Even though it's paralyzing, it just makes you feel worse after. And I get it, like, it's gonna be hard some days. I can say I've noticed I've been having way more trouble getting out of bed in the mornings. I always had trouble getting out of bed, especially for school, but after everything and how depressed I've been feeling, it really feels harder, and like there's a weight pushing me down to just stay in bed, and like I just can't get up. Like, it's, as I said, paralyzing. Feeling unmotivated can take away from the coping, but another thing is doing things that are the opposite of coping, like making yourself feel bad all over again, like looking back at old memories with this person and old conversations and old promises that you made to each other, and just being like, what went wrong? And it's normal to look back at old things that remind you of them, especially, you know, if it's brand new. But there comes a point where it's like, okay, you need to throw those away. I know it's gonna be hard and I know it hurts, but you're just doing more hurt to yourself. Because eventually it becomes like, why did we break up if we were once so close and in love? The more you focus on the past and how things were, the more you forget about how things became and why things actually ended. I was on video call with my online friends the other night, and we were reading journal entries, and something my friend said really stuck with me, because even though she was reading from her experience, like, I was like, whoa, I need to think about that. And obviously I'm not gonna say all of it because it's her journal, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but it was something like, you can't find a future by looking in the past. Guys, whoa! Like, just because things were once so good and seemed so perfect doesn't mean it's gonna be like that in the future, and doesn't mean you can get that back. Like, I really had to take a minute to think about that one, because wow, I was just like, wait, that sounds so familiar. But yeah, just keep that in mind. I know you're gonna want to like look back at how good things once were and be like, why can't we be like that again? But that's just not gonna help you move forward. I keep saying this, but I feel like I just want to remind people, like, it's normal. We all do it. Like, I know I said like it's doing more bad for you than good, but don't feel too bad, because like we all do those things after a breakup. So don't think I'm saying like you can't do that. Like, yes, if it's especially in the beginning and you feel like you can't do anything else, sure, rot in bed, feel sad, listen to music to make yourself cry, look at old memories, fine. But I'm trying to say, you can't keep feeling miserable. There comes a time where it's like, okay, I really need to take a shower or get some sleep or just do something that makes me feel better. And sometimes it's gonna have to take some distracting yourself. I'm not saying completely distract yourself, because obviously you need to process your other feelings about the breakup, but I'm just saying, like, don't make it all you think about, because then you feel like you really can't do anything. I know I said I would talk about getting back together and like the hope of getting back together, and I know couples who have broken up but gotten back together later on have made it work. But I realized I can't really talk about that. I've been trying to talk about it for like the past 10 minutes now, and I had to keep restarting because I don't know how to go about it. Like, I already said, like, I'm the type of person that thinks it can work in the future, and I am the type to just have that hope. There's so many quotes that are like, if it's meant to be, it'll be, or right person, wrong time. And there's those other quotes that are like, if it ended for a reason. I'm leaning more towards the positive ones because I feel like, yes, it did end for a reason, but that doesn't mean it can't happen again. That's just the type of person I am. The quotes are really making me mad though, because even though I do kind of think like that and think like two people can find each other again in the future, having to hear it all the time is kind of getting like, shut the fuck up. Like, I know that. I know I can't control it, and I kind of have to wait and see if it's really meant to be. But having to hear it every day and people are like, maybe it just wasn't your guys' time right now. Maybe it's in the future. Like, no. Get away. So hard because I'm just so conflicted with that. Like, I want to reduce my expectations, but I'm just too hopeful, and maybe that'll go away in time, but right now I'm just too, I don't know. But as I said, I guess I'll just have to wait and see because I really don't know anymore. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about is the moving on process, and I know I can't really say much about that because it's still way too early for me, but I'm just talking about like the fears that come with it, because eventually I'm gonna have to, and that's so like that's ew, like I don't want to, like, and I feel like everyone feels like that, like especially in the beginning. They're like, I don't want to move on, I want to believe this is gonna work, like as I said, like hoping that it's gonna work in the future and that this was my person. Like I can't move on right now. But just thinking about eventually having to let go it's just such a weird feeling. I know it's not going to be weird with time, but just yeah. I know for some people moving on is as easy as deleting pictures and being like, okay, they weren't my person, I'm gonna be fine. But for me, especially because I'm an anxious person, I'm having all these thoughts like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to eventually get rid of all the things he's given me or all the things that remind me of him. I'm gonna have to get rid of the pictures on my phone. I kind of already did that, but they're just in a hidden folder. Like I couldn't bring myself to fully delete them. Like that's how hard it is right now. And just the other fears that come with it, like I'm not gonna be okay, I'm never gonna move on. And especially if you're scared of change. But another big fear, besides all those fears of change and like the world is ending, is having to find someone else that understood you like they once did, or even better, and starting over with another person. That's ew, oh my god. As I said many times before, I know all these feelings I'm feeling are temporary, but it's like I said, like you can't picture a future other than the future you had already planned with your ex. Like, so like the thought of starting over with someone else, because it's not just that, it's like forming that connection again. It feels impossible right now. It feels like I'm not gonna have that with anyone else. For me personally, I felt so lucky that I found someone like him and that he got to be my first everything, basically my first love, my first boyfriend, my first kiss, like everything. And the fact I got to experience all of that with him, like I'll never stop being thankful for that. But right now, I'm just scared it's gonna take a while to find something that good or even better with anyone else, like ever again. Because guys, part of this channel is how real I want to be with you people, and I want it to be him. Like I don't want anyone else. I don't want someone else to know me as much as he did. Like I don't want that. Yeah, that's all I had to say. Sorry, it got kind of sad, but I just don't want to have to think about that. And I know I don't have to. Like, I know now is my time for me, and I don't have to even think about getting with anyone else right now. But it's just the feeling that eventually it's gonna happen. And just moving on and letting go in general. Like, I feel like I just don't want to go through with that. Like, I just can't think about even going through that process right now. Because, like, the more I have to think about it and do things to help me with it, the more real it gets. And I don't think I'm ready to like I'm just in denial, okay? I'll admit, I'm in denial. I feel like every day is a reminder that it really is over. And it's probably not gonna come back anytime soon. And that's why it's feeling more real every day, and it's so scary. Like, change itself is scary and hard, but the feelings I'm feeling right now, which are unexplainable, like, this is why I've been having so much trouble talking throughout this video. Like, my hands are shaking. I didn't expect this to get so emotional. But I think that was pretty much most of what I had to say. I will probably have more to say, but that's what a journal is for. But yeah, as I said, I just felt like I wanted to talk about it and cover some points because I feel like no one talks about these things enough. So if you're going through the same thing or you went through the same thing, I hope this resonated with you in some way. And I hope you know it's gonna be okay, because I know it's gonna be okay. It's just hard for me to believe that right now, but I know it will, and I know I'm gonna be fine. So I hope you know that too. And I'm sounding very inspirational right now. I still don't know how to do outros, because I haven't even had that much practice, but I'll try to put out more videos, and I think I have one that I'm already thinking of putting out soon. So stay tuned, and that's it. Bye.